Oops. There we go. Helps if you press the right scene. Because, my scenes are named intro, scene, BRB, close up chat, and then end stream. I clicked on scene. It kind of helps if you know what buttons to press. Nice. Yeah. Hey, Tut. Have fun at work. There was an error getting the emote data. Try again later. Oh, I couldn't tell what you had dancing from the distance I have right here. It looked like a banana, but now I can totally tell it's cheese. Interesting. So I don't really know what to expect out of this game that I was gifted. So it says that it's tactical turn-based combat. And I don't even really remember putting this on my wish list. I may have put it on there thinking it was something else, but we're gonna try it anyway. So, like looking at some of the pictures and stuff. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. If if it's fun, we'll play it and go through a whole bunch of stuff. If not, I might I might swap games for a little bit. Let's see. I forgot to hit this. Hit what? What sound effect are you gonna hit? Also, if you're on your phone, don't sub.
I'm a medieval
Let's say, Tut, if you're on mobile, I have this command. Or this.
I'm a medieval man.
Thanks, Tut. Appreciate that, dude. I can't believe 71 months. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's almost 6 years, dude. That is almost 6 years. Oh, really? So they now have so that there's a difference that you can do now instead of having the mobile upcharge, the extra buck. That's okay, that's good. I like that. Probably tired of people using the command like that just to bypass the cell phone thing. Nice. Good. Good job, Twitch. Let's try this. Oh, that's true. You have an auto pay. That's fair. That's fair. Thank you. Thank you. I gotta remember how to do this. This back. Oh, nope, not that. Move this back over. Uh, game capture. Ooh. Have fun, dude. Be safe. Ninja. Cowboy. Wizard. Robot. Mutant. Huh. Just do wizard. So let's do outline. Where there's a cowboy that has a sword. We'll use the cowboy, I guess. Yeah. I think I like the white. Yeah, okay, let's do that. Wait. Let's do this. White character. Dark. Oh. Okay. Crim.style. Okay. Single player. But that's not what I had. Let's figure this out. Okay, I'm not sure this is doing what I'm hoping for. Huh. Button throw? So, am I making... Earthquake. Hmm. Looks like I'm fighting myself both ways. That's sick. Two flames. Wait, spin something. Where's the flamethrower at? Oh, I got these backwards. Whoops. Okay, let's see here. Nope. He landed. I wonder. Oh, that's cool. Let's see here. Nope. Nope. And throw. Okay. Hi, Ori. I don't know what I'm doing. There you go. Not enough. Well, that's cool. Hey. Say thank you. Oh, of course, Ori. Of course. I should. Okay. Let's remove that. And then punch. Yeah! I don't know what I'm really doing here, to be honest with you. I don't... I was really hoping that this was going to be... Get it! I got it now. I'm creating fights. Oh, it's so much better. Yes, I want to thank you. You know what I'm talking about. Yes, absolutely.
No? Is that your final answer?
Nice. I'm at a restaurant and it's loud, but I can hear you, just not the game so much. The game, you don't really have to hear anything. It's just really basic music. My back touch. Yeah. Or they were all right. There was a lot of travel, and it was very tiring. It was good. It was very good. It was too short, but it was good. It was. Wait. Down. No. Oh. Nope. Yeah. I missed. Thanks, man. Won't be for long, because I'm working nights again. Got very emotional for mine, but other than that, I also took time to run some Pokemon Mystery Dungeon for Christmas one-shot for my brother, which at the end, he opened up... That's adorable, Ori. Like, I love that. That's so... Oh, that's so cool! I am a huge capybara plushie. I had a turtle backpack. That's cool. Let's do... No. Not that much. Yes. My only interesting gaming story is that I finally managed to get Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut on my PS5. Nice! Yeah, Ori, that's really adorable. That's adorable. Adorable. How do you go on PlayStation's website to claim it? Cool. Ow! Ouch. Nope. want to do spin cycle. All right. Let's do. No. Yes. I don't know who's gonna win this. Ah! So when the game was originally ported to PS5, it was locked behind the PlayStation Plus premium subscription. It then later went up to where you could buy it without a sub, but my PS5 kept telling me I couldn't buy it. It's frustrating. I missed that. No, I'll spin the other way. Sure. Okay, I'm alert now. I still have some WoW stuff I gotta finish, and I gotta finish eating some din-dins, gluten-free Alfredo with Greek yogurt. Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to. We're gonna have wings tonight. Up there. Yes. Wings tonight. Got it. Nice. No, I want to go that way. Do I have anywhere I can shoot? Tomorrow, I'm making some gluten-free spaghetti. Found some pasta sauce that is locally sourced, and the stuff is freaking delicious. I'd try it. Alright, so I'm gonna go over there. Let's do a spin cycle. You do slash. Oh, wait, what? Undo. Yes, lock that in. Hey, turtle! No, you're good. I'm playing the game you bought. What's up? Hello. Okay. Chainsaw. Hey, Abby. Slice. And then... If I could do the optical beam lower, that'd be cool. Yeah, I do it. Not flamethrower. Earthquake. Then flamethrower. And... you do a dash. Oh, so hurt. Super jump. Nope. Teleport. That didn't work. Oh, that'll work. Where's my little cleave go the other direction? Do my swipe. That. Nope. 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 It is, Mika. Good sauce is a good sauce. Okay, and then nope. Draw, punch, followed by kick. Then we do nope. And it's like no. Work is getting way more strict. Why is that? Minecraft gonna work. Might mean less attendance for me when between sets at work. Sorry, dude. We'll miss you. Let's see here. Now what we have here. Not enough range. Let's see here. Did that even hit? Sad. Okay. Oh, so close. Look at that. So close. The vaunted loss of profit from a single wasted Tycho's. Yeah. The argument has some validity, but has its faults. I agree. I'm also very particular when it comes to sauces, especially in regards of spaghetti. But I want to give this a try. This is locally owned. The other stuff I stated, I was so happy. Wasn't super chunky and no huge bit of soft tomato. Yay! Well, you go. I don't necessarily like that, but it is what it is. So there's that. Bomb. And then saw blade. Yeah, there. Again. Oh, it's so close. Oh wait, that's what flipped me. Hmm. Size one more time. Nope. Nope. Yep. We missed! Oh no! Do I have a light? Yeah, I'll do that. You'll get hit. Nothing has frame advantage on that. Ooh. This making the game's weird. And I Oh. Yeah, we'll do that. And then down the sleeve. Can we get a little further over? And then there we go. Okay. That's kind of cool. Dude, even though I wanted my character to win, player one, I didn't make it close. That's pretty neat. Huh. This is supposed to be the single player, but like... We'll save that replay. Okay, so... A way to go back. I just want to hustle, man. That's a great name. Okay, okay, there we go. Well, I guess... I tried to make this pretty fair. At least close, I should say. It's neat, but I think this would be a lot more fun versus somebody. So I tell you what, we'll do versus one person. What do you guys think? What? Yeah, what? Huh? I'm gonna get rocked. Let's watch this. Did I make 0? I mean, Cowboy's gonna be the closest thing I've got. I have to change this to green. Do that. That'd be the closest thing I can do for 0. Because, like, ninja, nope. Wizard, nope. Robot, nope. Mutant, eh. I was watching terminal montages, something about Mega Man X the other day. I was thinking about me. Wow. This is where they are. Wow. That's crazy. Oh, are you serious? That is awesome! That's cool. That is very cool. That's pretty darn cool. Spectate. Okay, I'd say what? Let me ask this. You guys have the option here. Do you want to see this? Or do you want to go way back as a throwback and play For Honor for the first time in 5 years? The setup on this. Hey, love. Love it. Good to see you. No, I'm not. I actually just got gifted this game, and I've only been playing this for a little bit. Welcome in, by the way. I typically don't play games like this, but since it was gifted, I wanted to at least jump on it, you know? Yeah, I was trying to see if there's a way to do. Okay. This is the idea of the game is very, very neat. So like, I just did one. Like, this is my first ever. It's rough. Controlling both characters, not knowing what everything does. Trying to make it a close fight without it being, you know, very clearly one-sided. That was my first ever like match or whatever, but that was me controlling both, like I said. Yeah, it's neat. I don't know. It's I like the idea. Yeah, it does. And I think, Mika, there's a game that Shuma plays. I like to see being played for turnip no raise. There's a game that Shuma plays. And it's like One Finger Fighter or whatever it is. And I thought this was that. And I was really wrong. I was like, wait, you can check previous replays and edit them like you can view previous matches in Street Fighter 6? One Finger Death Punch. Yes, that. Yes, that. I think that's what I thought this was. You. Hi, Austin. What's up? That's what I thought this was when I put this on my wish list on Steam. So, you've been summoned by the YOMI community? Oh, really, eh? Oh, I believe it. I believe it. You just want to hustle, man. I like the name of this one. No, no, don't put a crease in my Jordans. Not my J's. I promise I'll do squats flat-footed. Aw, man. It's over, guys. Austin just creased our Jordans. Like, what are we gonna do? We gotta buy new ones now. Yeah, I was gonna do... Because like I've only Austin, I literally just got this game. I've done one match that I created just to look at the game. I had no idea what I was doing. Literally no idea. I haven't decided if I'm even going to keep the game yet. I'm probably going to play it under 2 hours and see what I think about it from there. You called it my first fight? You want to see the first fight I did just to figure out what the game looks like? Someone who has over 750 hours, you need to keep this game. So low? No. I'm not that guy. I will more than likely just play this with a little... Never played it. Never played Guilty Gear. Believe you. I believe you. I'm legally required. All to bugs. Multi-blood player. Miko. Yo, welcome in. Thanks for clicking the button. Ooh, fancy damage numbers. My moves if I was in Yomi. Not a username. Alright, let's do this. Let's see here. Ooh, somebody backed up. All right. You know what that is, Mika? Persona 4. Had to think for a minute. Ah, there's the lightning slash time. Oh, tech damage. Oh well. Persona 4 Arena. Ah, okay. Let's see. Ah, there's the leg. Dang. Okay. Because why not? Ooh. After this, I gotta grab some wings. Nice. I know you're trapped. I'm falling for it. Well, I mean, the other thing is there's two things. So first, you can wait long enough and watch the stream to figure out what someone's doing. Could. Not saying he is, but you could. I do like how simple the music is. Persona 3 Reloaded so far. I might end up getting Persona 4. It's, you know, Persona, I've seen the games played, and there's a lot to them. Hi, Kate. Pretty neat to see how this fight plays out. Oh. Whoa, okay, there I go. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way a little bit. Kate. It's more my speed than your. Yeah, you're right. Hmm. I will fully admit that, Mika. Probably gonna be too far away for that. Where's he at? Let's do. Oh. Hmm. So I can be burned by my own fire, hit with my own bomb. Okay. Yeah, basically, Kate. Yeah, you're trying to figure out kind of how you're anticipating the person's move to make them to figure out, okay, if they're gonna do XYZ, how can you counter their move? So a lot of it is just knowledge. Chores. There. Yeah. I think when I put this on my wish list, I thought it was something else. This is not my style. I like more active stuff. More active stuff. GG's. Smooth. See, that's how the game works. So like you do all of this so you can see what happens at the very end. Good stuff, man. That was good. That was good. Oh. This would be something I think I would like to watch, but not something I'd really like to play. If that, makes sense. If they had like a PvE mode in it, like your single player, where it was, oh, that's how you can. Have a mod that gives it AI. That's neat. That's neat. Sadness enable. That's hilarious. Well, that's cool, man. That's cool. I believe it, actually. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I was actually gonna come down in a few minutes and get it. Thanks. And what's his zone the whole game? I mean, that's the nature of fighting games, though, Austin. I mean, that's if your sadness meter gained by running away, the full, you lose all meter and lose the ability to block for 60. Oh, good night. For 60 frames. Yeah, that's huge. That is huge, especially in this game. Dang. Especially when some of your attacks are like 2 frames. Right, right. Or some of your attacks are still, 6 or 8 frames, some are 12, but some are much longer. But yeah, especially if you get, like, if you're right on top of them and they, they can't block for 60 frames and you've got a blender that you can do, yikes. Well, that was fun. Thanks for kicking my butt. Their sadness is full. They're likely all the way across the map. Fair. Fair. Hour and a half? That's fair. Yeah. Runners and such. I mean, I don't know. For me, I've always enjoyed more reactive fighting than proactive fighting. Yep, that's the guy. Got the first crease. Anyway, that was fun. That was very fun. I really appreciate it. I'm back, I'm home, and I can hear better. Nice. My wife's name saddens you? Say, my wife has a degree in international business, dude. What'd you think it meant? Oh boy, we'll be here for a while. Okay. Yeah, so here we go. What's up, Jag? There are certifications for it. Yeah, I actually looked into a few. Well, different companies use ERP software. I know, Jag. The sad thing is, I was thinking about ending. I feel bad. Oh, I realized. I suppose I'm sitting here like just, bobbing my head of the music. There's no chat on screen, so anyone who ever watches this VOD, I have no idea what I'm doing because I'm reading chat and not reading it out while you guys are talking. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of read through that. That way people don't think I'm fully crazy. You got a problem with enterprise resource planning? Please explain exactly what that entails. You ever used Oracle? No, I just know some people who are on the wrong side of Twitter. How about using NetSuite? Not personally, my job doesn't, at least. Love to learn more about it. Also, hi again, Jag. Get certified in ERP as a software corporation, right? It's software, not the actual corporation. NetSuite is primarily billing software. So did you say you're a coordinator or you handle invoices and inventory and stuff? Well, yeah, my wife right now, she's order processing, so it's more of, she said, like what she says, but it's still part of finance. Think of it as, for order fulfillment, she reads basically all of this stuff that a salesman goes out and meets with the company and sets up the business tools that they need. So they go through, they make the deals, they set up the software. Hey, this is all the stuff we need. What she does is she goes through and she reads everything. She makes sure that everything is coded properly. They have all the information they need, tax codes and things like that, because it's for a global company, not just, here. And doing those things, she's got to make sure that everything is in order, everything is proper, so that when things are billed, it's, the right country, the right tax code, all that kind of stuff. So she's got a bunch of stuff that she has to make sure that is, I don't want to say it's simple, because it's not necessarily simple. It's attention to detail work. It's not like people in your face screaming at you, salesy or things like that. It's a lot more, it's back end, clerical, but, demanding clerical work. It is. Today especially sucked. I spent all day fixing software license keys, tax exemptions, VAT numbers, etc. So effectively quality control, but for software. That's actually a good way to put it, Austin. Quality control, but for software. Yes. Then my team generates the software licenses for use. They also track, some companies will be billed based on the number of licenses they use, and that's something that her position takes care of and will set up as well. So yeah. Actually, it's a job that I applied for and never got an interview for. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, most are annual renewals, but we have a bunch of monthly ones too. All right, it's going to be almost 9 o'clock, and I'm debating if I'm going to keep this game or not, especially since it was a gift. So, 174 applications, 3 interviews. Yeah, actually, I understand how you feel. I really do. Believe it or not, I do. Last year, I had been applying for jobs from March of 2014. I didn't get a job until February of 2025. You go. So I've had this game for less than 2 hours. I've played this for less than 2 hours, so I can return it on Steam and let Turtle have her money back. Voila. Okay. 2,000 hour. So, okay, the game is neat. I will say that the game is neat. I think this is something that I would watch. Like I would watch just, but I don't know. This turn-based versus other people, it's cool. It's just not my style. I like more active stuff. I loved, I still do really like Souls PvP. I've really enjoyed those games. You know, I started playing Dark Souls 2. I did Souls 3 PvP. Um, a lot of Elden Ring PvP. I did a little bit in 2. Loved For Honor. Had over 1,000 hours in that game. Really enjoyed that. I like the active stuff. And like this game, I think it's great. Like what it does for how little this costs, this is brilliant. And the creator, well done. Like legitimately well done. I can admire the game, but not like it myself. Oh yeah, Jack. I have over 1,000 hours in the game. Now I haven't played the game in 5 years though, so I'm pretty rusty. I'm a bit of a goldfish brain right now, and I may have already asked, but have you played any of the Dragon Age? Yeah, so Dragon Age Origins, I have almost every achievement in that game. I've played as every class combination except for Mage. I didn't do Mage because my wife started a character as a Mage, and I was going to watch her play it, and then she finished it. I even played... Spoilers, by the way, guys. If you haven't played Dragon Age Origins, this is a spoiler, so stop listening. I even made a female character to riz up Alistair. Luvette, I won untouched. I'm just kidding. I got smacked. I think I did a third or a quarter of Austin's HP bars damage. Why panic? I made it a ways, but I started fresh. Oh yeah, it's a great, like, I think Dragon Age Origins is good. I played through, I think I did four playthroughs of that game. I did at least 3. At least 3 because I did an elf, a dwarf, and a human female. Yeah. It's rewarding, you go. It's very, very rewarding. I was a fan. I didn't play 2. I have no interest in Veilguard. And I played Inquisition, which I liked Inquisition a lot. I liked how they reworked mages, and having attack chains is good. I'm tired. I kept panicking at the wrong choice. Oh, were you in a different match, Luvette? Love it. Okay, I gotta ask. Is it, for your name, I want to make sure I say it right. Is it Drayden? Are you going for the B with 3 for Drabdon? Oh, even gets knocked. Oh. Well, okay, you go. I heard the story in 2 is mediocre, but it's fun. Drithreeden. Yeah. It's... 2, I heard, had really good combat, but the story was forgettable. That's the best way I've heard it explained. Yes, you are. 2 is excellent. It's just not the same approach and structure like Origins. Origins was top notch. My goodness. I haven't seen the streamer live in so long. I kind of have to raid them. But Albert is on too. No. Crap. I want to raid Albert, but also Snimsy is live. I'm gonna raid Albert. 2 story is watching how the events unfold and impact the city and populace. It's much smaller in scale and focus. For $2, I'd play it. Maybe. I don't know. I have too many games to play through. Like, I have way too many games to play through. If you guys look at the backlog there, it's just so much. Okay. Let's go to raid and call it a night. Love it. It was a pleasure to meet you. I mean it. Thank you for coming in and saying, hey, Austin, thank you for smashing my face in that round. Drab, welcome in. Good to see you. Nice to meet you. But I am going to go ahead and raid out tonight. One of the reasons why the stream's a little shorter, I know it's not even quite 2 hours yet, is I have to be up at 5:30 tomorrow for work. Going to be up at 5:30 tomorrow, and then I think I have to be 5:30 on Saturday as well. So I have some early mornings ahead of me, and I don't want to be up too late. Yeah, okay. You go. I don't know how. I like those. I like. How are they bad? Like, I don't know. I really enjoyed all 3 of those. But the Batman, it just didn't have a payoff for me. It was way too slow. Yeah. I would be down to discuss it, Hugo. I would. I like the original, the Christopher Nolan Batman. This is a whole thing of people turning against stuff years later because it becomes the end thing to do. No. Christian Bale, those Batman movies are very good. I liked all of them. But like nothing against what is it? What's his name? Pattinson. He did okay. Like nothing against his Batman. Like, I'm not saying he was bad. It's just I did like the movie. It Robert Pattinson. Thank you. I thought that, but it didn't feel right. It just it was so slow. Like it had some good story points. Like okay, this isn't bad. Okay, this isn't bad. But the conveyance was so clear that we arrived at the conclusion before the movie made it 20 minutes later. And I'm not exaggerating on that, by the way. There were so many things that you're like, okay, I already know where this is going. Okay, I know where this is going. There were some neat things, but overall, eh. Anyway, let's go on a raid. I think this is the proper raid. I think this is funny enough. Guys, it's a pleasure to see you. I missed you. The investigation side is fine. I have no problem with Batman being a detective. Like, I like Batman being a detective and doing detective work. That's fine. But it doesn't have to take so long. The pace, literally, the only problem I have with that movie is the pacing. It is way too slow. It has too many endings. Anyway, yes, my only issue is pacing. If they had cut out a lot of it and made their points faster and made it a 2-hour movie instead of a 3-hour movie, or at least put more in those 3 hours, that would have been fine. Would have been fine. But it just, it was a slog to watch. Anyway, love you guys. I mean it. I will not be seeing you Monday. I have to close. Probably not Thursday either. Anyway, love you. Bye.